If you're working with talent overseas, you know that paying international contractors can be confusing, risky, and if you're not careful, downright expensive. Today I'm cutting through the noise and sharing the best ways to pay your international team safely and efficiently so you can focus on growing your business and not getting lost in a web of fees, paperwork, and compliance headaches. We'll answer the big questions. Should your team be employees or contractors? Should you use an employer of record or go through an international payment platform? Or should you just send bank transfers? Plus, I'll reveal my personal favorite method and why it saves me a ton of time and hassle. And this is how I'm actually paying my large international team as well. So if you're ready to take the stress out of international payments and keep your contractors and your accountant happy, stick around and let's jump in. It is complicated when you have a business in the US like me, or maybe you have a US company and you have contractors all over the world. You're talking about the rules in the US, the rules in the countries where your contractors are, and then also the fact of paying people in different currencies and saving time as an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, paying people isn't generally your business. It's kind of my business teaching people how to pay people, but I want to start with this key difference here: employees versus contractors. So people often refer to themselves as employees because they work for one person, but there's a big difference from a tax perspective of employee versus contractor. And this is all really based on where the person who's working is. So in the US, if you have someone you're contracting in the US, you can do that with a foreign-owned business. If you're a US person or a foreign person, it doesn't matter. You can have contractors in the US, and the IRS defines on their website what is a contractor versus an employee. In short, an employee is someone who you are directing personally. You're telling them exactly what they need to do every day, and they show up and do the same thing every day based on your direction. Contractors are more of, you show people what to do, and you're more of paying them for a result than you are paying them to do the same thing over and over. There's a lot of overlap, but you can support the contractor argument by having good contractor agreements and being consistent with how you're operating, right? And there's a lot of benefits to paying contractors. In the US, if you have an employee, you have to do payroll taxes, you have to pay to the state, you have to file more forms, and it's more complicated. And it means you kind of have a US business. So generally, if you're a foreign-owned business, you want to have contractors in the US. And it's the same for me. If I have employees, if I have a team, I have a bunch of people in Colombia. We have a bilingual team, so I have a lot of people in Colombia that work for me. They are all contractors, because if they're employees, then I'm technically employing people in Colombia, putting myself at risk for paying taxes in Colombia. It's the same for I have contractors all over the world in different countries, in Spain and wherever, and they're all contractors, not employees, because I can't legally be employing someone in another country without going through their employment regulations. If they're just a contractor and I'm paying them for a result and we have an agreement together, then that's fine. So I generally lean towards contractors. But some people want to be more conservative. And if I have an office and I have someone in the office every day, then they can be an employee and I have to do payroll. And right now I'm really the only employee of my business. And I pay myself just whatever the tax rules in the US. I pay myself as an employee, but everyone else is a contractor. So the pros and cons of like having an employee, the pro is that they're more locked in and they're kind of more affixed to you. But the cons are there's more compliance, there's more risks, and it's a lot more administrative stuff you have to do. So unless someone is black and white an employee, it's easier to have them as a contractor in general. If you have a factory in the US and you have a bunch of factory workers and they're in the office every day, they're going to have to be employees. These are the employment audits that the IRS does. So if you have a big factory, you have a warehouse and people work every day at your warehouse or at your factory and they're coming in doing work every single day for you, that's textbook employee, and that's something where you should have to pay them payroll. File 941s, 940s, and use a payroll provider for that. Once you define how someone is going to be classified, then you can pay them. Now let's say that I want to pay my team in Colombia as employees. I have two ways to do that. I can register my business in Colombia or open a company in Colombia. That's kind of one, like get my own company in Colombia, or I can use an employer of record. An employer of record is basically, and I'll show you some website examples here, but an employer of record is basically a website or a company that hires them as employees, and then I pay them. So I pay them, and then they hire people as employees. Using an employer of record, the pro is you don't have to register in that country and do all the administrative burden yourself. So the pro is that they handle the compliance, they do the payroll, and they do the benefits. Everything as required, you don't have to deal with it. The cons are you lose a little bit of the direct control of the employees and the people you're working with, and it's less personal, and it's generally going to cost more for you and your employees. A lot of my team members, let's say, I'm not going to say where they're at, but I have team members that I open LLCs for them and I pay them in their LLCs, and they end up keeping more money than they would if they were an employee. So let's get into some of the ways that you can pay these contractors. And I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to look at some of these platforms that exist. And there's a lot of platforms that will help you pay people, but these are some of the main platforms we're starting with here. Good. Start recording. So when I signed up for Stripe Atlas, I think Remote is one of the platforms that they were promoting. They were promoting this one. On here, on remote.com, you can recruit people, you can find people to hire, you can run payroll from here, hire anywhere with employer of record, pay your global team on time, securely manage contractors. There's a lot of tools for this. Obviously, you have to pay for it, but this might be a good solution for you if you have a big international team and you want some automation, some software to work. This one seems fine. I haven't used this, but obviously like big companies are using it. It's pretty big. So remote.com is probably a good one to check out if you have a remote team. Rippling, I think this was also shared by Stripe Atlas. This is more of like an HR platform where you can give people access to stuff and do more training. But I think they also do, they do employer of record, they do global payroll, and they do contractor of record, and they mitigate contractor risk so that you're not even, you're paying through them and they have the agreement with the contractor, so it's lowering your risk. So this might be another good solution. Definitely check it out. See which one you like more. I like the website more for this. I like these colors and this website a little better. Rippling, I'm not big on the maroon, like whatever. I have a lot of people that use Deel. So I have clients that work for Deel, and I have a lot of people that pay their contractors with Deel. What I found is that certain countries, like I have a couple guys in Venezuela that work for me that have been great. You can't really do an employer of record in Venezuela, and you also can't really set up contractors the same way. So depending on what jurisdictions you're hiring in, they may not offer that service. Deel is another one. You can see that these all kind of offer the same stuff. They have U.S. and benefits, whatever, and they have contractors globally, hire people abroad. Deel is easy to make payments to people, but these are full platforms. And the last one I had here was Remitly. And that gets into like the kind of the second option. Remitly is just sending money. So we'll get in, and I've heard comments from you guys on the videos. I appreciate you who commented, said Remitly has been great. You've used Remitly, you really like it. So another one that's similar to that is Upwork. Obviously, Upwork is amazing. Everyone's heard of Upwork. There's other like platforms for finding people that also pay the people. I have people that I pay in Upwork every single month, and based on their hours, they track the time. Upwork is great. They also charge a fee. They all have fees. So that's option one, is using some kind of platform that does the payments for you. You pay the platform, they manage the people and pay the people. It's a great option. It's going to cost more, but there are, you are a little less connected with the people, but it's also very, very easy and easier to manage the people. The next way is by EMIs, electronic money institutions, intermediaries, and money transfer services. That would include Remitly, Wise, MoneyGram, AirWallex. These EMIs are great ways to just automate transfers and transactions and send them all over. We've talked a lot about these. These are great. I definitely pay people with some of these. Direct bank transfer. So this is how I'm paying most of my team. Almost everyone is automated ACH transactions from my bank. Lowest fees for me. I basically pay no fees. And then my team gets paid directly in the full amount of the currency they want to the account they want. A lot of them have LLCs and work with LLCs because that's obviously what we do. We help people get LLCs, addresses, bank accounts, payment processors, and we walk the walk. I have a lot of contractors that work for me. I don't want to go into details, but a lot of people work for me, and 95% of them are using LLCs, and I'm paying them to their U.S. accounts. And then they spend the money abroad in their country, and it works really great for them. Now, I understand that you might not be able to auto ACH someone who has an account only in Colombia, but that's why you have to figure out what other EMI or thing you're going to use. For me, I just opened up U.S. accounts for all my team members so I can pay them with auto ACH. Lowest fees for everyone, and I keep it automated. I don't spend very much time to pay all the people on my team every month, but I do like keep on it a little bit. And I do use Upwork too. I use all of them. Choosing what's right for your business is really important. You need to understand how much money you want to spend on this, the speed, the compliance, the ease of use, and how it's going to work for you. I'm trying to find, for me personally, and for a lot of my clients, the most secure way and the most fastest way to do it without having to deal with too much administration. I really like to avoid the employer of record. If you have a huge office space in a location, you have 30 employees going there every day, you probably should do employer of record. If you have like 20 random contractors all over the country working from their houses, they're going to be contractors. You can pay them all directly. It's really like figuring out how do you want to manage it yourself. So if you need help figuring this out, getting these accounts set up, I encourage you to go to jamesbakercpa.com/schedule and schedule a free guidance call with me or the team. Comment below if you have any other experience or any other payment providers, or you pay people or send money abroad in a different way, and I'd love to hear about it and have that conversation keep going below. And thanks for being here. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully this is helpful.